It's time for a cup of coffee with Will and Chris at Slumberland Furniture. From Slumberland Furniture in Osage Beach, here are your hosts, William Holtz and Chris Schneider.
It's brewed, it's hot, it's been poured, and it's ready. We hope you're ready for your weekly cup of coffee on Lake TV. I'm Wild Will here with Uncle Chris at Slumberland at the Lake, and an action-packed, local headline-ridden week of a cup of coffee.
Yeah, good and bad, man. I tell you what, we had some shootings, we've got politics going on. There's a ton of stuff. You've been really busy trying to keep up with everything going on.
Yeah, the lake continues to grow, as do the local headlines. As you said, we've got some shootings. Of course, Election Tuesday, the results are officially in by the time you're watching this. We got some crazy local headlines as far as former Camden County detective Michael Hudler, his case, which was set for Monday, April 1st. A continuance granted. That will update you on the Nichols apartment development. Reese development, what are they going to do on the Bagnell Dam Strip? That and a whole lot more after this message from our friends at Slumberland at the Lake.
Hey everybody, Daryl Cunningham with Slumberland Furniture at the Lake. I don't know if you're like me, but springtime, I want to be working outside. And when I come inside, I need a good night's rest. You need to come check out our purple mattresses, Tempur-Pedics, Stearns & Foster, and Sealy Posturepedics. All of these mattresses qualify for 0% interest for up to 60 months. And don't forget, we do white glove delivery for the entire lake area. Come see us at Slumberland Furniture, where we're bringing happy home.
The spring home sale with up to 50% off regular priced items. And we can see it right here, Chris, on the set. All these big blue tags, all these clearance recliners for $250, $300, couches, sofas, they're everywhere. Great deals to be had. And in springtime, you think of cleaning, you think of refreshing, you know, it's a good time to buy furniture.
Yeah, every time we come in to do a show here, we've got a new set because people are coming in and buying the set. You know, it's greatness. So Slumberland Furniture, Slumberland at the Lake, that's the place to go.
And how cool would it be to live at the lake and say that you owned the fireplace that was on the cup of coffee set with those two yahoos?
Right, yeah, those two idiots over there.
And make sure when you come into Slumberland at the Lake, you make sure you remind the crew that Wild Will and Uncle Chris sent you. Of course, if it wasn't for their support, Cup of Coffee wouldn't exist. So we appreciate you supporting them, as that definitely supports us. As we move ahead to local headlines, we teased there was a lot of crazy local headlines. We'll lead with local shootings, not just one, but two, and we'll start with the lesser of the two. Severe shooting Saturday night on the Bagnell Dam Strip. It looks like there was a gunshot that went off and somebody was arrested.
Yeah, so a man in custody after authorities say he fired a shot from a handgun on the Strip. This was Saturday, March 30th. According to Lake Ozark Interim Police Chief James Boren, police arrested the man after a shot was fired. The incident occurred in front of the Rock Island Line Bar. I'm really not familiar with that one. I don't think I've been to that bar. Man was arrested, placed on 24-hour hold. Marks the fourth gunfire incident on the Strip in as many years. You know, we certainly remember the one at Casablanca.
Sure.
One a couple years ago, a couple guys were kicked out of a bar and they shot several times. So here you got another one. But the good thing, it arrested right away and taken into custody, and so that's good.
Yeah, and this is not factual, but I have a source close to the situation who said this was just a simple matter of an individual who carrying a firearm who fell down their pants. They were trying to retrieve it, and in the process, it fired. Now, with the report saying that they were transferred and held on a 24-hour at county jail, I would believe that they didn't actually shoot themselves. Otherwise, they probably would have been transported
to the hospital.
Yeah. And so this one, a headline that gets people scared, and of course they want to relive the old tragedies and the things that have happened. But this one was just, it seemed like real minor, 24-hour hold. You don't even know if the person was drunk, if they had a conceal and carry. It doesn't really matter in the state of Missouri, but all that matters is I didn't see an injury, which is great, and it was solo. I mean, it was independent, no other parties involved, it didn't seem like. And so that one was the lesser of the two, and you saw that headline early Sunday morning from Saturday night.
And the 24-hour hold would indicate that maybe he was drunk, right?
Right.
Put him in the drunk tank. And can you imagine dropping a gun down your pants? That's pretty dangerous right there.
Yeah, no, and I wear such tight pants. There'd be no chance of a firearm getting down these fat leg-filled pants, my friend. All right, so that was the first of the two. Now, a little more serious, Sunday night on Easter Sunday, evening, believe it or not, at Jets Trampoline Park. There was gunshot fired. Someone was transported to the hospital, and until very early Tuesday morning, no names had been announced. Well, we did get an updated press release from City of Osage Beach, Lieutenant Michael O'Day, Tuesday morning, and the person who sustained the gunshot wound in this instance and was shot in the chest has passed away. He was identified as David Davis, age 22, of Eldon, Missouri. The press release goes on to say that after further investigation, it is known that Davis and Michael P. Watwood, age 32, of Kaiser, were sitting in their vehicle in the parking lot at Jets Trampoline Park, located off of Passover Road. Another subject, identified as Fernando Hutchinson, age 20, from Osage Beach, approached their vehicle in what we believe was to buy marijuana. As Hutchinson was at the Davis's vehicle, he reached in through the window and grabbed something and took off running in the direction of Autumn Hills Apartments, located close. Davis and Watwood began to chase Hutchinson. Watwood and Davis split up, and David chased Hutchinson to the area of K-Lynn Resort, where shots were fired, and Davis was struck in the chest. After the shooting, Hutchinson ran back to his apartment, where he was later located by officers after their arrival. He declined to make a statement on scene. After interviewing those subjects who were detained, they stated they were out of marijuana, and at some point, Hutchinson made comments he was going to steal some. After a handgun was recovered in Hutchinson's apartment when officers served a search warrant, he was arrested, that being Hutchinson, and transported to the Osage Beach Police Department. He would later be transported to Camden County Jail and charged with murder in the first degree and armed criminal action with no bond. This is an ongoing investigation. Any further information that becomes available will be released via press release. We're in contact with Lieutenant Michael O'Day. We'll keep you posted on this story. A sad situation. Rest in peace to the victim, David C. Davis, age 22, of Eldon, Missouri. His friends, family, lift him up, keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Just crazy, and something over as it seems as innocent as going to get some weed, as people would call it. It ends up deadly, and this is what happens when you get involved in things like this. So sad situation, and we appreciate Lieutenant O'Day keeping us posted, and as we get further information on this, we'll continue to pass it along. But sad ending in this one.
Very sad, and we thank O'Day for sending you that. I mean, that's up to the second information there on that whole thing, and didn't know that the man had passed away, so that turned into a murder charge. Yeah, that's tragic. We lift up his family.
Yeah, it was breaking to us at time of recording Tuesday, April 2nd at 10 a.m. We had just gotten the press release this morning, so we certainly appreciate that. Also, in local news, I hope you got out and voted. By the time that you're watching this, election results will already be out, and you can catch those on my William Holtz Lake TV Facebook page, where we'll do a report on the results from all three counties, Miller, Morgan, and Camden. And speaking of elections, now the Camden County Sheriff, not on the general municipal election here in April, but will be coming up this fall. And I don't know if you saw, but KY3 reported one of their On Your Side investigations. They had reported that not all candidates on Camden County Sheriff ballot have a valid post license. This was from Marina Silva. Did you see that report?
I did see that. So the On Your Side investigation in Camden County shows not everyone who filed for the sheriff's race meets the qualifications. The current Camden County Sheriff, Tony Helms, he apparently contacted KY3 to start up this whole story. That throws up a big red flag for me. Why would he do that? So anyway, Sheriff says it's time for his law enforcement career to end, leaving it to somebody else to take over. So looks like Tony said, okay, so I'm not going to run again. So I've got no dog in the fight here. This is just what has happened. He says 8 people have filed to run. Missouri law requires a valid peace officer license at the time of filing. That's what the statute says. You know, it doesn't say later or whatever. Helms is telling KY3. Part of that includes mandatory training. The training would have to be up to date. The post license would show that. Plus, it is also validation for law enforcement across the state. KY3's Marina Silva was the reporter who did this, and it doesn't seem like Marina Silva really did much investigation into this. It seems like she just took Sheriff Helms' word for it and ran with the story. It says she looked into the current status of the 8 candidates, and they put a list together of those who are valid, who are invalid, and as Sheriff Helms says, the rules are rules, but they should be checked. Again, he's kind of he kind of sounds like he is the story here. But then a couple of the candidates came back and said, well, wait a minute here. You know, I checked and our status is up to date. You had Brian Butts providing a response, and you also had Greg Sellers providing a response.
Yeah, and one thing I thought was interesting, you alluded to what Sheriff Helms had said. He actually went on to say that he's decided to retire, and if you watch the report, it kind of makes it look like what an amazing tenure, and for him, all the hard work he's done, it's time to pass the baton. In 35 plus years, it's time to retire, he said. I thought it was very disingenuous that he said, let somebody else come in and fight with all this. It's been my pleasure, said laughing, not very sincere. So as you alluded to, after some were called out in this, Phil Cannon was valid, Jimmy Brashears, ironically enough, part of the Tony Helms administration, and I would call it good old boys club, currently in Camden County, valid. Jeffrey Beecham, valid. Josh Butterfield, no record found. Patrick Cochran, inactive. Christopher Edgar, valid. Greg Allen Sellers, inactive. And the big one, Brian Butts, expired. So I looked at Brian Butts for Sheriff's Facebook page, and on Wednesday, March 27th, Brian, not holding back, he clapped back. He went on to say, I'm incredibly disappointed that someone who I consider a brother and a friend would stoop to such a low level, like a mini Joe Biden, and use the media to falsely attack my character for political gain. I am not, however, surprised. The current makeup of the Sheriff's Office has proven on multiple occasions they're willing to blatantly violate citizens' civil rights for personal and political gain. They said the person that'll remain unnamed, but is current employee of the department, falsely accused me of not meeting state statute for filing as a candidate. He went on to say, when I proved to the Camden County clerk I was in fact in compliance, Tony Helms contacted the media. That's where you said it looks like Tony Helms kind of started this. It looks like, according to Brian Butts, when he proved to Camden County Sheriff Tony Helms that he was absolutely in compliance, KY3 was contacted, and they took his word for it. They did not contact me nor actually investigate and ran a false story attacking me. He went on to kind of take a stab at the journalist, Marina Silva, and said, by the way, Marina, if you would have contacted me, I would have happily forwarded you the email from MDPS, who actually licenses peace officers, stating I was in compliance. Now, I reached out to Brian, and he also gave us a personal statement. You'll see it here on screen, and it was mentioned in the story, the only person who can remove a name from a ballot is a judge. I am very willing, in fact, looking forward to litigating this matter if any legal action is taken. So that was a strong response. He didn't appreciate that. Looks like he has some contention, not just with KY3, but the current leadership at the Camden County Sheriff Department. And regardless of who you're going to vote for Camden County Sheriff this upcoming August, this does seem a little bit like a hit piece. I mean, KY3 on our side, just keeping you, the Camden County viewers, informed. I mean, right, Marina Silva? Well, maybe we ought to be asking the question, are you really on Camden County's side? Because I don't see any coverage on KY3, Uncle Chris, from Camden County Detective Michael Hudler's, his former detective, Michael Hudler's Class D felony case. You know, the one where a former Camden County deputy is charged with witness tampering in a felony case. Or how about the ongoing issues with the former prosecutor, his detectives, Camden County Sheriff Tony Helms, and the numerous situations, all big stories, right? Like softballs, if you will, for somebody, a journalist, that wants to get you. Well, for those, on our side in Camden County, those are stories we take, we run with. I mean, the timing is ironic, and now that I think of it, what coverage has KY3 actually provided of happenings in Camden County? Because this is awful ironic to pick and choose. And so a simple Google search of KY3 Camden County will show us them all. And there's not a whole lot of light shed on the current dysfunction that is absolutely going on in the Camden County Sheriff Department. And if all you did was watch KY3, you would actually believe that the Camden County Sheriff Department was a really pretty by-the-book, great leadership from the top-down run department. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. Maybe KY3 is just doing their diligence and being good journalists. And being on our side. And if that's the case, I'm eager to see the coverage that follows and ensues on all the leads, the investigation, the reports, and the proof of the ongoing stuff that we're sending KY3 and Marina Silva to see if they follow. Because with a reach as wide and resources as deep as KY3, I sure would hope that them and Marina Silva are in fact on our side. But at this point in time, Chris, that's the question I ask. Are KY3 on our side? Because this seems very, very choosy, very selective. And it doesn't seem, as you said, to have a lot of merit, a lot of investigation, or even reaching out to the individuals that were listed to give their side. And Brian Butts replied, and Greg Sellers also replied to his Facebook, and looked like he actually admitted, so he was short a few things, and he looks like he's taking care of that.
Yeah, it does. He said Greg Sellers responded saying last night, KY3 did a story about sheriff's candidates, possibly didn't meet post licensing. By the way, that post means Police Officers Standard and Training Commission. That's what post stands for. And he said that when I put my name on the ballot, I was up to date and valid. Since then, I've dropped like 5 hours behind. It sounds like a continuing education thing. And he said, oh, I'll have that made up by next Tuesday. So again, I don't know what KY3's motivation was for this. You know, if they're actually doing a hit piece to help out certain people running for sheriff, or if they're just lazy in their investigation. You know, you get a call from, you know, the sheriff of a county, you just, oh, okay, he's not lying to us. We're just going to take that as truth and we're going to run with it and we're going to print it and we're not going to do any investigation. Well, that's just lazy, right? That's just lazy journalism. And it looks like what's going on here.
It's just interesting. I got a huge, huge audience, a big territory they cover, and they've never really dedicated much to the lake. So when they do stories, it almost just seems like they give the Camden County Sheriff's Department carte blanche to control the narrative of whatever story. And you could just see by Sheriff Tony Helms' candid comments, his body language, that he was very comfortable in that interview. He's never given me an interview. He's never sat down with me and been willing to let me put a camera on him and ask questions that I feel like Camden County wants to know. And so there's a different dialogue going on there. And so I guess maybe I need to take a few pages out of Marina Silva's book. Maybe that'll get me an interview with Camden County Sheriff Tony Helms.
I don't think that'd be a good idea.
So that's interesting. We're going to follow that. Of course, we've got some time, and I am kind of sensing, Chris, that this is just the start of what is going to be a very contested, very heated, very wild race for Camden County Sheriff. We know the incumbent is no longer running. He's stepping aside. You've got 8 candidates who are throwing their name in the cap, some of which it looks like may or may not have a few things they need to figure out. What I thought was interesting is Roland Todd, the Camden County clerk, said he didn't have legal authority to remove anybody from the ballot. It would have to be a judge. And of course, Brian Butts said, if there is any litigation, I look very, very, I look forward to litigating it myself and fighting that.
Yeah,
So,
and again, back to Greg Sellers' response, he said, I was also told February 27th, the day I filed for sheriff, my license was valid, in good standing. As for the 5 hours I'm currently short, I will have them caught up by Tuesday of next week. Again, it sounds like a continuing education. But when he filed, apparently he was up to date and, you know, met all the standards. Again, KY3 just being lazy, it looks like here. What is Tony Helms? Why would he do this? You know, is it because he wants a certain person elected as sheriff that, you know, has been working for him?
Well, I was gonna move on to the next story, but since you asked, what potentially could be happening here. You look at the 8 names, and there's a couple of the names that have a lot of affiliation with the current administration. And I don't think that Camden County, that sheriff's department, they don't just watch KY3. They know there's issues going on in their own department. And I believe for the 2, Phil Cannon and for Jimmy Brashears, that won a chance at this, they know their affiliation to the former leadership, their affiliation to the Good Old Boys Club. Camden County does not trust certain people in this race. And with an affiliation to Tony Helms and the current regime that's been in there for so long, I think there's some issues about Tony and the Good Old Boys Club being able to keep one of their guys in there. And so for those guys, they don't want to be out yelling and screaming they're running for sheriff because they know they're going to get fight back. Citizens for Camden County, from us, from Lake Expo, you're going to get it from the locals. And so if Tony can maybe do some damage control, this is just an opinion. This is just something I think, who knows, might be happening. No guarantee or no fact or merit behind this. Just guessing what could be happening. If Tony can do some damage control, and I don't know, maybe cut the playing field in half, maybe give one of his two or his preferred choice a clear line to win, that could go on, right? I mean, you might, as somebody who's been in there for a long time, if you step away and it's a brand new regime, you're not going to look great when things start going really good. But if you still have an arm in there, I mean, Obama to Biden type tie-in, you might be able to control a little bit. So I don't know if that's happening, and I don't know if that is even plausible, but it doesn't seem to make sense for somebody who is ready to retire to be worried about the individuals who are putting their name on the ballot to replace him.
Yeah, and to reach out to start this story, basically. He had a motivation of some sort. I was just trying to figure out what that was.
It's almost like as soon as the resource officer, Camden County employee, was found with child pornography and those crimes, he comes out, instead of addressing that, he comes out with a press release asking the community, can you believe the commission won't let me do these plate readers? Please, they're limiting my department. And it's a cry for help saying, wait, the executive body is holding you accountable and protecting the constitutional rights. And so we've seen it before, deflect. We've seen those kind of things from this sheriff's department under Tony Helms' leadership. So it's a great question. I mean, and I think that's the question that you guys should be asking instead of, are these guys eligible to run for sheriff? I mean, that'll work itself out. They're not going to be sworn in and wear a badge if they don't meet their credentials. But at this phase, so far from the election, what does Sheriff Helms have to gain, and why would he be the person reaching out to media to run this story?
Yeah, maybe it's a legacy thing too, since he is going away, he's kind of thinking, I put my whole life into this, I want to see that legacy go on with my people, with my guys. So I guess that could be, and I like Tony. Every time I've met Tony, talked to Tony, he's been a great guy. I love spending time with him and hanging out with him and stuff. So it's not that I don't like Tony. I do like Tony. It's just that seemed to be interesting there, with him doing that. Apparently you don't like Tony, so.
That makes one of us. I mean, I don't know him. I don't spend time with him. He doesn't reply to my emails. He doesn't answer my calls. He doesn't give me the time of day. And I'm just fine with that because I don't judge a man unless I see his body of work. I don't get to see him behind closed doors. I certainly have gotten to see his body of work as a sheriff, and no, I do not personally like Tony Helms. And also, part of Tony Helms' regime and ongoing things, we told you about former Camden County detective, was a special detective assigned to former prosecutor Caleb Cunningham, Michael Hudler. Well, he was charged with a Class D felony for tampering in a witness felony prosecution, and his preliminary hearing was set for Monday of last week, or this week, April 1st. Well, there was a continuance granted. I read the docket entry from the Honorable Judge Steve Jackson, who was brought in from Laclede County into Camden County for this special case. And it looked like Ryan Bridges, who is the APA, the Assistant Prosecuting Attorney, was there representing the state instead of our prosecutor, Rochelle Christensen Grosvenor. I didn't see why she wasn't there, but the docket entry, as you see here, said they were there. And then the defendant and attorney, Passanese, the defendant being Michael Hudler's attorney, appear late. All parties agreed to reset the hearing for Monday, May 6th at 9 a.m. But this is where it is interesting, is Honorable Judge Steve Jackson in his docket entry did put absolutely no more continuances granted by the court. And so it looks like Honorable Judge Steve Jackson seems to be frustrated. It would appear that he is ready to get this preliminary hearing set and see what's next. I had put in a request to have a camera in the courtroom Monday. That was not approved. I mean, you would not believe how hard that was to get in touch with the right people. The amount of calls and transfers, and no one knew the answer to that before I was called back and told there would be no cameras. I was welcome to come and take notes. I was not going to sit in the courtroom Monday and wait for this to happen, but it did get moved. And now that it's set for Monday, May 6th at 9 a.m., we're looking forward to that date to keep you guys posted on what exactly happens. This is a very serious crime. It sets a terrible precedent for somebody who wears the badge, and the fact there has not been an arrest, there has not been a mugshot. Local lawyer Fozzie Simon, shout out to him. He was able to come on and offer some insight and a little bit more understanding of why some of these delays and how it could be happening. But there are a lot of irregularities in this case, and for a felony, Class D felony, it is wild. There's been this many continuances. It's been dragged out this long, and we've yet to see a mugshot or anything of that nature. And Fozzie Simon said, if you read the docket entry initially, the judge said there wasn't probable cause to issue an arrest warrant, and that is why that hasn't taken place. But be interesting to see. Monday, May 6th, 9 a.m., I'm planning to be there, and I'll keep you posted on that as well.
Cool. And then have you noticed there's been a whole bunch of fires around here lately?
Oh, man.
What's going on with all that?
Between controlled fires, non-controlled fires, and according to KRMS, there's an arsonist on the loose.
Wow, yeah. Camden County Commission, the investigation underway right now, and authorities are on the lookout for, as you said, the arsonist or more than one arsonist connected to a rash of natural cover fires in Max Creek. Thursday alone, Southwest Camden County Fire Protection District responded during the early afternoon hours to a report of natural cover fire in the area of Chapel Bluff to Mudhole Road. Upon reaching the area, fire district personnel encountered multiple road set fires along O Road near Mudhole Road. There were at least 9 of the fires with multiple acres going up in flames, putting several structures in danger, requiring the call for mutual aid, which was provided by Mid-County and Preston districts. Southwest Camden County Fire District's Camden County Sheriff's Office investigating leads, trying to identify these potential arson suspects. And it makes me wonder, because remember a couple of weeks ago, we had 3 separate fires along Highway 5 in the Greenview Sunrise Beach area too. That looks suspicious to me.
Sure.
So it's kind of scary that somebody might be out there setting all these fires, but 9 in one area at one time?
And,
Wow.
and arson is no joke. I mean, fire is not to be messed with, so we'll keep you posted on that. There were no strong leads. I did see that they believe the suspect was in a black lifted truck, had numerous leads on that. Also, in local news, we've been following the Nichols apartment situation with developer Tegetoff, and I don't have an exact update for you, but I drove by the property Tuesday morning. The gates were opened. I saw a Meeks truck there. They were delivering materials, and I'm set to talk with developer Tegetoff Thursday morning at 8 a.m. So by the time you're watching that, tune in for a cup of coffee extra follow-up as I talk with Jeff Tegetoff, and I'll be passing along exactly what he shares, not just from the Nichols apartment complex, but also he said the timeshares for Lakewood Resort. I'll have an update for us on that.
Wow.
So make sure you go like my William Holtz Lake TV Facebook page, where a lot of this follow-up and extra throughout the week goes. Also, Reese Development, we've been talking about what are their plans on the Bagnell Dam Strip. Well, I'm talking with them this week as well. Again, go to William Holtz Lake TV Facebook page for a cup of coffee extra this week as we share exactly what Reese Development is planning on doing with the Strip. Is it family friendly? Is it top golf? Who knows? But I am so excited, so make sure you plug in there. And in other news, as you look at what's going on Lake TV, so much happening this time of year. Of course, you started a restaurateur theme for the community spotlight, some of the greatest restaurateurs in the history of the lake. And you've got John and Sherry Buchanan on this week. And man, they busted onto the scene a couple of years ago with the Tavern at Trails Inn, and they have not looked back.
No, in fact, they came in, they were telling me on the Community Spotlight show that they had a plan. They wanted to have 4 restaurants in the area, and now they've got 3. Tavern at Trails Inn, the Tavern Smokehouse. They bought that. They're opening a new place in Lori, an Italian restaurant. And then they don't know what the 4th restaurant is yet. But yeah, join us for the Community Spotlight show. You can see that every day at 9, 2, or 9, 3, and 9. And we'll get the story on I call it the Tavern Empire, right? 'Cause they're growing that thing pretty big.
That makes perfect sense. Also, do not miss the April monthly market update with Jessica Bruce and the Bruce and Kelly team. I joined Jess and co-host this month's show out at Azul Waters, their new development, just incredible property. You don't want to miss that. And as we wrap up this week, man, I just want to thank you guys so much for continuing to watch. It's unbelievable the momentum Lake TV has. the amount of views and likes and shares and continuing to tell your friends about what we're doing here at Lake TV. And so this week as we leave, I want to tell you about one of our regular viewers, Craig Ricer. He's a local artist. You can check him out, the Craig Rice Internet Band on YouTube. We're going to let you listen to Hitting the Backroads, Lake of the Ozarks. Big shout out to you, Craig. Thanks for watching, buddy.
In the back roads in the